Well, hello, folks. It is Monday. No, Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Wow. Holy cow. It's Tuesday. September the 10th, I believe, in 2024. Why do I say the date? The only reason I say the date is because I talk about market stuff. When I don't talk about market stuff, the date's not relevant. But when I talk about things relevant to low time frame trades, then obviously it helps to just mention the date so that in the future, if you look back, you can see what I was talking about with relevance, especially because on YouTube, eventually the dates become kind of unclear, right? Video after a month, it says I posted a month ago, whatever. If you look at this video in a year and you're wondering when exactly did he say that? So, if you look at what happened yesterday on the markets, as the markets, traditional markets, reopened after a weekend, we saw kind of what was expected, with the probability targets hitting kind of perfectly. Um, right? They went to the downside perfectly, hit those buy pressure areas perfectly. About a half hour after the live stream of Alpha Trading ended, and then it did a nice little run up, and it was across a lot of different assets, Bitcoin and many different altcoins. There were tons of assets that ran up, and Bitcoin, for example, ran all the way up to that monthly target. It was up in the range briefly before coming down a little bit. So some very nice gains on the day for anybody who was trading that. And, that just goes to show why it's important to keep an eye on the low time frame VEPs as opposed to higher time frame. Because, yes, the higher time frame gives you a nice big picture. But if you're actually trading actively, those changes happen on the low time frames, obviously. Right? That's where changes begin. And then they affect what's happening on the higher time frames. So I hope you all had a good day of trading on the VEPs on the low time frames, and that you took your profits. Because not doing that would be kind of silly, right? Because it can just as easily go back down today, right? I mean, it went up to 58, and came down already into the back into the 56K range. So yes, it went up still quite a bit from yesterday, but a couple $1,000s worth of profit, it came back down, and that's not a small amount of money when you're talking about even if you have just one Bitcoin, right? It's a couple $1,000s, right? If you have 5 or 10 or 100 of them or more, do the math. If you're actively trading, that's why the low time frames matter. That's why we don't use lagging information, and that's why we take our profits when we hit targets. We don't just stay in a trade, God forbid, swing trade something as volatile as Bitcoin, where you can have 5 or 10% moves easily over the course of a day, and lose all your profits if it just turns around and goes the other way. So that's why we don't just sit in trades overnight and swing trade volatility. And more importantly, we don't use crazy leverage, just in order to get a leveraged position to try to hope that we get explosive gains. Yeah, well, explosive gains means also you can get explosive losses. So, lest you have the funds to just not care and lose millions of dollars or whatever, or however much, and you just don't care how much money you lose. I highly recommend not swing trading volatility, especially when you're using leverage. I mean, I don't recommend using swing trading at all, but especially not if you're using volatility. And it's not like you can never use volatility. Okay, fine, I get it. Some people want to use volatility. Fine. I mean, leverage. Sorry. Yeah, you can use leverage sometimes, but you got to be extremely careful with it, and you have to know what you're doing with it, and that means that you need to know how to risk manage your trades. Right? You need to manage the risk of your trades very well. If you don't know how to do risk management, which is really the main strategy of trading, period, then you're just throwing your money away, because ultimately it will get burned. Right? There is no situation where doing risk management well is going to be worse than doing risk management badly. Right? That's not a thing. And why is that? Well, it's because when you're doing risk management well, you're making sure that you're not losing your assets because you took out positions you can't afford to lose. As opposed to if you're doing risk management poorly, you're taking trades that you really can't afford to lose. And guess what happens in those situations? You tend to lose more trades because of the nature of human beings being irrational and emotional and making poor decisions when they're nervous and under the gun. Right? So don't make those kind of decisions if you can avoid it, especially with trading. And make sure that you don't get caught trying to put trades in that you simply can't afford to lose. Right? Make sure that whatever you do, you're making trades that you can actually win, even if the gains are small, and that are going to put the probabilities in your favor. And that's going to be it for now. If you go, hey, hello, Arsic, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. If you guys want, you can join the live stream Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. You can go to the Alpha Trading Discord where you can join the live stream, and that Discord address is located at alphatradinghq.com/Discord. Again, that's alphatradinghq.com/Discord. And then you can go there and you can get free access to the volatility starter pack of indicators. And you can learn how to trade the volatility, probability, and statistics for free if you don't already know how. But yeah, by the way, there is actually something else I did want to mention. And it has to do with something else happening in the industry. And that is, well, there's a few things, but one of them is the Telegram CEO, right, Mr. Durov. Mr. Durov, who was Russian and French, as far as I know. He was arrested in France for a short while. He was detained under arrest for various charges, basically having to do with people using Telegram to do bad things. And there's cryptography, which is insane that somebody would be arrested for the fact that their platform has cryptography. But they did. And so he was, let out on bail or whatever. And there are people in the company who represent the company in France who are dealing with the company charges, etc. But meanwhile, he's not there. And so as a response, maybe not in response, but certainly it seems well timed for it. One of the things that they're doing is Telegram is removing the geolocation service of its application, which basically means that they're removing exact location identification information so that partly so that governments don't have the ability to just spy on everybody in terms of their location. And in theory, also partly so that bad people can't do bad things with location. But it seems to be a pretty direct response to Mr. Durov allowing things to happen on the application that the government doesn't like, and therefore they arrested him. And now his response is, well, okay, if you're going to do that, we're just going to make it even harder to track people. Which, again, honestly, there are a lot of ways that people get tracked, okay? Just having a smartphone makes somebody tracked, okay? If you have a smartphone, assume it is tracked, whether you accepted any terms of agreement from anyone or not. The device is tracked from the time it's made, okay? Now, you might say, well, no, it's not. They don't automatically track devices. And they literally they do. They do. And on top of that, even if you don't agree, and even if you somehow get a phone from one of these vendors that makes a device that isn't tracking, okay, and there's some that claim that they don't track you. Okay, maybe. So even if you buy a device that's not tracking anybody, guess what? You don't need to click on anything for somebody to crack into your phone. Right? There's companies that make specialized software for governments and military and all this stuff. That if they just know the number that they want to, get access to, they just type in the number, and the software does the rest, and it automatically will get into that phone and get all the information that they need. Anyway, so sorry, the distractions around here. So, excuse me. So there's that, and the point is, why is it that Telegram is even targeted, right? Well, Telegram happens to have a cryptocurrency called TON, right? TON. Now, you can tell me, oh, no, it's just a coincidence. It's just because their platform has done bad things. Really? You can tell me that bad things aren't done by people using, I don't know, WhatsApp or Signal or Line or, Facebook or X or anything like that? No, of course they are. Of course they are, right? But they're not going after all those other platforms. Why? Well, those other platforms don't have a crypto, do they? And when there were, some discussions about whether or not Facebook would even have like a stable coin, what happened? The U.S. government went nuts, and government, politicians were doing everything they possibly could to not allow it. And then Facebook was like, all right, we'll make a stable coin for, every currency so that we have like a whole basket of stable coins, and it'll be one for each country. And still they were not allowed. Like they faced a lot of, opposition from the government, until eventually they basically quietly just dropped it. It's no longer a discussion since years, right? Like they were talking about that, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And they haven't mentioned it pretty much in the last year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, practically, right? And so they didn't get any further pushback the moment that they dropped it, right? Could it have been that Mark Zuckerberg would have been arrested for, enabling people to use Facebook or Meta to do bad things? Yeah, of course it would have happened eventually if he kept making a crypto. Like they would have done everything that they can to stop it. And why? Well, it's because crypto directly threatens fiat currencies and governments. And what does that mean? Well, it means it directly threatens the power of the people that make the laws governing fiat currencies in their jurisdiction, their country. And if there's one thing people don't want to do, especially people in power, it's give up their power. Right? But of course, they see that the financial interest is in crypto. They understand that their financial interest is in crypto long term. So the probability, hey, hello, crypto shark, hey, brother. So they understand that the long term trajectory of cryptos is in the interest of people who are making cryptos and who are, using crypto and who are buying and holding it. And therefore they see that there's a potential way for governments to make money from it through taxes, etc. And therefore, they want a piece of the action. And you know what that's called? That whole process, you know what that's called? That is called, and then you win, right? Which is what I've been saying since about 2019. Governments have already lost and admitted crypto has won. And all of this opposition, this Johnny-come-lately opposition after the actual initial fights that really were the real attempts by governments to stop crypto from taking over, all of that opposition, all those fights have already taken place.